I'm Susie, and this is Soulmate Canvas. So today is the first episode, shall we call,
First
of what
episode.
I think I came to be the first one. Yeah, creative spin. I forgot the name already, but basically the idea came through, and I always when I meet new people, especially ones that's like really fascinating in terms of the things that they do, their passion. I love that, and I want to get into these conversations that I really always feel that other people will benefit, will just enjoy too, right? Enjoy getting to know. So that is where the seed, thank you for the sprout, came from. And then I was on a plane, I was watching Frida, and I loved her energy, that fierce, that fiery thing. And she turned this suffering, this pain that she had to carry on and into art. And I thought that was just the biggest inspiration. So that is the whole spiel of how this came about. And here in SKOOL, I pretty much created this community wanting to be in a place where you could come to for shelter, for love, for to be you. And when I met our first awesome guest, he was probably the first person for me to feel like myself and that there is more to give into this space of like business and creating and money making and whatever. It's okay to be myself in that very vibrant, colorful, whatever, crazy, random way. So with that, please say hello to Goose.
Well, hello there.
Woohoo! All right. So before we jump into today's topics, Goose, can you just share a little bit? I mean, you are way more popular than I am on SKOOL, but give those of you who still have yet to know you a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure, yeah. Well, I have a pretty intense background with all kinds of different businesses. After college, I started a boatload of them, but the ones that took off were real estate and web design, and I pursued that for a number of years with all kinds of failures, and eventually found my way to communities and online business proper. And it wasn't until trying almost every single platform you can imagine out there that brought me over to SKOOL. And within the first month of our first launch, it was massively successful, and we're still riding that high, basically heading to Vegas at the end of this month.
Oh, so exciting. Which is why I
Yeah,
think I mentioned before, it's just extra excited for you to be here, having this conversation in between all those different things. So the
yeah.
way we're going to do it is I thought I took it a play from your book is, injecting fun into it. And usually
Tight.
with these things, you have one topic, and I'm like, let's play with it. I wrote art and something else. I have no idea what we're going to get. So
Okay.
I will do the spin. You could either tell me to stop or we'll just let it go. All right.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
All right. And from there, we're just gonna free flow, see where it goes. That's the whole
Okay.
point of it. There's no agenda. All right. Here we go.
That sounds great. All right. Let's do
How appropriate. It says art and you.
it. That's super cool.
So I brainstorm everything. There's like art and nature, art and spirituality, healing, love,
Yeah.
community, self-discovery. And there's one slot left. I'm like, what am I gonna put? And I just put art and you, whatever comes out.
That's
So I
cute,
mean,
man.
I
I
think
like
it's
that.
very appropriate.
Totally,
So
man. Yeah.
let's go with that. So what did that came out like? What came through when you saw art and you?
Wow. That's a really good question. I think the first thing I've been having a lot of conversations about this lately because every time that I've spoken so far with the SKOOL leadership, and in fact, it was fairly recently that I got some gratitude from them for um, encouraging sort of the new direction that a lot of SKOOL has started going, which is more playful, more fun, more you could argue authentic. And it was reminding me how unpopular I've been all my life. I've not usually, like, in my group of friends, sure, that works, but like I remember going back to, I mean, certainly school, through elementary and middle school in particular. I mean, shit, high school as well, but in those younger years, I remember I never really had that many friends. I was always basically this. I'd like grab a tie and a regular shirt and like a hat with a spinny thing on it. I just throw shit together and no one accepted
Yeah.
it. It was not cool. And I was like, but this, why? Why does it matter? It doesn't matter. This is fun. And my attitude about it is the same with like Pokemon and the rest. My even to this day, my dad's like, it's just a phase. He'll stop, and I'm still doing it. All of those things, and so
Yeah.
it's interesting that I didn't see. There's like 2 points in my life where I've seen positive feedback on stuff that I stubbornly didn't stop doing. The first
Mm.
time was after was I was in college. I was back home in LA visiting my dad, and I received a message from this girl that I went to middle school and elementary school with, and we knew each other in high school, but we weren't like super close. We were just, classmates. And she was telling me that her start in art, and she's a fantastic artist. She said her start in it came from me because I was so fucking myself all the time, she said. And because of that, she was like, well, maybe I can do that too, which is such a complicated thought because I remember looking back on those years and thinking, well, I mean, I didn't think about it. I never in my mind imagined that I could be somebody different. I don't know if that meant I was stupid or I just wasn't thinking hard enough about it. It didn't cross my mind. And even to this day, I don't know if I could really, but that was the first time that I'd
Yeah.
seen, and I was, not super young at that point. I was in my 20s. Uh, First time I'd seen someone say, "Hey, what you did way back in the day helped me be who I am today." And the second time that happened to me, where it really stood out, was during school, because uh, whether it was Curbinator or Sam or the rest, they didn't shut me up, even though I'm like bashing the walls and being kind of a pain in the ass. And in fact, it's been supported from every side of school. And so it was that success that was just bolstered by the leadership and the people around it that was telling me, hey, wow, whatever you're doing. I mean, there wasn't really a fixed strategy to it. It was just kind of like, be yourself, show your colors. Rainbows aren't always gay, things like this. And
Yeah.
over time, people seem to resonate with it. So I say all that to say this, that for me, art, like I'm a creative at heart, and art has always been at the core of it, for you to feel something from the thing that you're making. And
Yeah.
that's why I had to learn how to do business. I started with art, I had to learn how to do business, and it's a challenging road because for a lot of the time, because it's not tangible physical earning money, there's
Yeah.
a big window of time where no one gives a fuck, no one cares about what you've got going on, and you kind
So
of have to
hard.
just keep doing it for long enough that something works. And I hear the story from a lot of other creatives that have had similar paths. That was the first thing that came up for me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. When you first said the first story, what really kind of sparked a connection for me, in Instagram or in TikTok, there's like those like voiceover of like sometimes there's like philosopher, sometimes there's artist, and you use that
Yeah,
as the
totally.
background. So
Yeah.
the last one I heard, and I haven't used it yet, but it's from Billie Eilish, and
Oh,
she
okay.
said something along the line of your art, you need to do art because your art does more than something along the line of that your art does create art. Like we forget sometimes as creators when we're kind of tunnel vision when we're creating, when we don't get the validation, the feedback on like we're on the right track, we're doing something, we just kind of negatively look at our art and what we do, and we kind of just say it's not working, it's not for me, it's not, for anyone, nobody cares. But we don't know how it ripples out who we are, our art, wherever it is, that it at some point could touch someone at some level and shift them.
Yeah, you're absolutely
right?
right. It's a
And
really
so
big
that's
feature.
just really a reminder. Yeah. And doesn't
Yeah,
have to be so literal. It doesn't have to be so direct. And, certainly doesn't have to be an artist, right? But it
yeah.
can be, you say something and, just in the context of you saying like rainbow isn't always gay, or that could potentially be a permission for someone to, just open up the possibility for that, because in the traditional narrative that is believed to be one thing, right? So I thought that was like
Hmm.
really
Yeah,
cool connection for that. And then circling back to what
yeah,
you're doing in
absolutely. I completely
school,
agree with you. Hmm.
I think that there's that resilience, and then that persistence that comes through, which allows other people. It's been, I think I wrote it in one post, and I'd love for you to kind of expand on this, because it
Hmm.
is your, the way I see it, you have your own back no matter what. Like wherever
Hmm.
you are, however it is that you are, your success coming from, I don't need to be validated from outside. In fact, you mentioned that the more successful you have become, the more people are coming at you at different things. But you have your
Hmm.
back. So therefore, that allows you to continue to be you and be more of that. And you even say it now, it's time to be even more weirder. So I would love for you to kind of speak to that. Uh, like maybe the word isn't certainty, but that belief in you and that constant reaffirmation of I got myself. Like, please expand on that.
Hmm. Ooh, that's a big one. I think most of us could probably agree that the work that most beautiful work tends to come from the artists that are the most troubled, and that it's the experience of all of the hard stuff that really ends up turning into the art in a weird way. It's almost like the human experience translates the pain into something that someone else can learn or appreciate. So it's like this um, beautiful inspiration pyramid scheme. It seems like as generations of people go through and do all that. So it's a very, very good question. And let me see if I can break it into a couple pieces here.
Mm,
To me, um, probably for myself, I think it started quite early where um, there wasn't like a whole lot of art encouragement from my family. My mom's side of the family kind of, they had their own thing going on. Lots of different stuff, but it wasn't really focused in any one direction. And my dad's side of the family, they were all lawyers and doctors, and they're pretty unhappy. They all really wanted me to like copy exactly what they were doing. And I so by any measurable metric, they were very successful. But on a day-to-day basis, they didn't seem happy. It didn't seem like something I wanted to do. So if I knew like there's all of this labor and work, and then I turn into them, probably that's not what I'm looking for. So I think I was lucky early on that I saw two different ways. There was like the high education is the number one most important thing, and then your job and whatever, white picket house, regular family, that kind of thing. And then on the other side, it was family members that were kind of scattered. Um, there was the white
mm,
side of my family, the brown side of the family. And from that point onwards, I don't know if that was the source necessarily, but it meant that whenever there were times like I remember dropping out of college with one course remaining, and even to this day, I bet you if I talk to my uncle, he'll just give me shit for it. We don't really talk.
100%.
I don't really talk with that side of the family, but they couldn't understand that. What they know is only one direction of life, and so if
Yeah.
they encourage your direction of life, it would suggest to themselves that they could have done it differently. So if you find
Yep.
success, it almost is self-deprecating. And
Yeah.
so I can understand why it's too expensive to give support away, even being a close family member. So when I consider all of these kinds of little random nuggets in like how challenging it can be, even with the people that love you or are supposed to be in your circle or in your family, um, it kind of means that your resilience to the struggle and the ability to stay on your own intuitive path without requiring outside validation is probably, from what I've seen both for myself and my friends, my closest friends that I've seen succeed in this capacity. It's those things that give you the ability to then, when you are receiving them, when the universe is like, okay, you don't need them, here they are, that you can handle them with grace in a way that doesn't break you down because you knew how to appreciate them.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, those are key things, but I'm gonna drill a little bit deeper because
Please
like those are,
do it.
really great sort of guidelines to live by, right?
Yeah.
Lean into who you are, listen to the inner compass. Don't allow the outside to interfere with what's going on, and then keep going. Now, well, those are, I feel that for someone who is very strong and stable inside, it's pretty much like a reminder. It's like an alarm clock that goes off. Oh, right. Okay, keep doing it. But for a lot of us, especially these days, there are so much distractions around that it's just hard to kind of remember who you are. And the
Mhm.
way I feel is that we haven't given the space, the time, the practice to remember who we are, remember that we are
Mhm.
enough. So when you say, before, do not require outside validation, which can you share a little bit about in your daily practice of being Goose and doing your thing? What are some of the things that you do that you don't show on camera
Mhm.
that is maybe intuitive for you that remembers and like aligns with who you are? Like that's the practice that I'm so interested in.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so yeah, let's dive deeper on this one. I have been through peaks and valleys in my life, and there's a lot
Sure.
of times that um, during a valley, the person, let's say I'm dating someone, and she at that time is going through life as I'm in a valley. On more than one occasion, there's whatever it is I'm working on, I've had somebody who's just like, I don't think this is going to work. This sucks. Um, and that I don't know what the recipe is exactly. For me, maybe it was emotional management, where something. I'm going to give you that
Mm,
particular
that's
example.
the
It's
huge
hard.
one.
It's a tough one, yeah, because if your partner is not supporting you in the language that you may need it in that time, that can be a really that can be really deflating because it's like the people sometimes, oddly enough, the ones that you bring the closest are the ones that can, when you need it, show the least support. And I have kind of built up a my own system of things um, to prevent stuff like that from affecting me in major ways. Now, I could never, or anyone could never be like, oh, I don't care. That opinion doesn't matter. I'm just gonna, like, you can say those words, but it doesn't mean that that's how your body feels. I feel like when someone
Right.
you have emotions attached to gives you that kind of energy, whether or not you choose to acknowledge it, it's there. Your body carries it. So there's two things. On the external, I'm not mad at it. It's not their fault for something like this. And if they knew everything I knew, probably they would have more faith. And so they just may need more time. So that's what I mean about outside validation. Always assume that
Mm,
someone means well, um, and they just can't give you at that time what you may think you need. So in some cases, you may have to be the bigger person. Someone's going to have to be.
yeah.
And if you practice
Yeah.
doing that earlier on, that's a good one. Um,
Yeah.
And then the other part is I have a system that, especially when it got busy, I kind of lost a little bit, but I started picking it up again recently because it's major. And I'll tell you with this. So this might be kind of a longer chapter, but it's important. Um,
Okay.
there's a whole period of my life where I was creating things, going around with people, having a very easy, flowy schedule, and it wasn't really taking me anywhere. And I realized at the end of last year, just before January, I was in Japan with my little brother. He lives there, and so I go visit him once in a while. And I was I was realizing, I think, I mean, I've done good habits in general here and there, but I kind of want to
Mm-mm.
stack them. I want to see what it would be like if I
Mm.
actually like grabbed life by the lemons. And so what I decided to do was one, I would surround myself exclusively with people that were more skilled uh, and smarter than I was in whatever capacity. Because I would often find myself being the hardest worker or the smartest person or the wealthiest person in the room. And that was consistent for so long when I look back that I started thinking, okay, well, maybe there's a connection there. So that was the first one. The next one was I was going to put together some routines for myself. And I'm not really good with routine. I still couldn't, like at that
No.
time, I couldn't get calendars together or shit. Like I just used calendars for the first time like this year, and I
Yeah.
can't live without them now. But it's this year, and I'm 32. So basically, um, I had to on January 1st. I spent the rest of that month looking for two coaches. One for YouTube in case that was going to be a thing, and one for business because that was definitely going to be a thing. And my buddy Bon, at the time we were planning all these things, he had some coaches and stuff like that. He introduced me to SKOOL and all of this. And I said no originally, and then came back to it later on to try it out because I had tried another platform. It was still just fruitless.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was the most important thing, the first most important thing for me to be strong within myself was I needed to have the right coaches. We became friends, and out of that, I suddenly had, I mean, I paid them first, but then we became friends because whatever, we were both people. And
Yeah. It's all about
the next thing
relationships, right?
was, yeah, it was big. The next one was because really it was like this year that it happened majorly for me in a more significant way than I'd ever done in the past. I started doing consistent, like, and this one's gonna be weird, but like a whole bucket of stuff, cold showers at every opportunity. Not because, and it's
Mm.
weird too because you hear it a lot, but I literally think it's because you subject yourself to the misery of that experience that all of a sudden other things come out of it. So I'd rather condense all that misery into a non-killing shower experience, and then literally it pops up positivity in other capacities. Like you demonstrate it. It's crazy. It's like you demonstrate to the universe, yeah, I can fucking handle pain. It's like, all right, well, here's a little treat. And I piled onto that a couple weeks later. Affirmations. I started working out 3 times weekly, sometimes four. And all of those things together were kind of the one I'm still struggling with is meditation. It's hard to get my mind to slow down sometimes. So I'm still working on
Yeah.
that. So I have an affirmation that I listen to every time I'm walking here to WeWork, which is in the center of Prague. Um, and every time I'm walking back home. And those pile of things, because I did all of them concentrated at one time, in spite
Yeah.
of other resistances outside of it, I think is what finally flipped the kayak, so to speak. Like I'd been bounced around on it for
Yeah.
so long, and finally I had
Yeah.
just enough to have everything come together that I've been trying to build for so long.
Yeah. Wow. I resonate with all of that so much. Um,
Yeah,
because, like what it sounds like too when you are going through all of this is that the big component of this is that personal system that works for you and your commitment to that system. And that system, for me, the way that I heard you saying, surround yourself with the right people, right? That you are not really the best, the smartest one, the hardest working one in the group. Having some sort of routine, not then something that's dogmatic, but something that will ground you.
something easy. Yeah,
Support yourself. Yeah, support yourself by hiring someone who has done the things that you want to do, get to the place that you want to go to, so that you have this like visible goal, and that you can get there. And then the last one is all these quote unquote, like difficult things that our mind won't get to, but you physically put yourself in there. I think physical is a key word, but all of those components to me is really in the realm of self-care, and not in a way that commercially we just know it, but really you're taking care of yourself. Really, you're having your back. Really, you're having this accountability. Really, you believe in yourself that you can do it. And when you do this consistently, which is another, right? So holistic self-care that is encompassed in the system, then things will kind of flow. For
Hmm.
me, and I think for a lot of people who are listening and will listen to this, I think we sprinkle in different things. We do a little bit of meditation. I do a little bit of doodling. I started working out a little bit, but then other things fall off. So it's like, it's like a little bit
Yeah.
wonky. In the foundation isn't stable enough. But when you're doing all of
Yeah.
that, then you have something to stand on, right?
Yeah. For me, the I guess secret to applying those was I didn't try and do them all at once because I have and it didn't work before. I had to do it. I did one thing. I started keto, right? Like January 1st. And then after almost 3 weeks or a month, I was like, okay, now I'm going to start working out. And I just started doing them
Yeah.
until one became a habit. And then I added on the new one. And I wasn't trying to it wasn't a race. I wasn't going anywhere. I was just trying to make sure it was sustainable. And that was what helped.
Yeah. That's where I am building on to right now. I stopped working out for a very long time, and working
Mm,
out has always been very on and very off for me. When I am on, I'm fully on. And
yeah,
when I am off, I could like not work out and see the gym, see a dumbbell, see any yoga mat for like years
yeah,
on, and I'll be
I
okay.
totally get it.
Um,
Yeah,
but once I but once I start doing it, it's starting to feel really, really good. So this
yeah.
is also a
I
reminder for me to continue on.
yeah, I would also attach to that kind of a tangible, which is that if you are experiencing pain, you can be grateful that the pleasure is coming because the pain of every rotation of a dumbbell curl becomes the pleasure of something else. And it is when you're going through that misery that just by sticking to the road, I know it sounds a little bit tacky, but I do think that the pain is what permits all the rest to happen.
So I'm being with that a little bit because the way my brain took that in, you can only feel, like actually feel the pain physically. Like, I mean, you could feel the pain mentally and all that as well. But then the physicality to all of this, I think it's one that I am feeling that is so important in our journey of whether it's business, whether it's relationship, whether it's like healthy and whatever it is that you're doing. One thing I've learned is that the body, like being physical into something is so, so important. So
Mhm.
physically being in pain, you feel that. So therefore, it almost awakens, remembers that you are human and you're living this physical life. And for me, who has been living in my head for so long, I could think the pain, I could think all these different things, but I haven't, actually put myself into this physicalness of action. So this, for example, is that it's been living in my head for so long, but the how and the when and the why and the whatever
Yeah, yeah,
got
yeah. I know
in the
what you mean.
way. But now in this moment, I'm like staring back into my face, and that physically I am here. Physically, I am talking. Physically, I am interacting. So that makes it real. That makes it
Mhm.
happening. And when we
Right.
recognize that we can do, we almost show ourselves that, oh, you could do this. So maybe you could do something else that's a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So
you're
it's really
exactly right.
cool. Yeah, having
Yeah,
a very meta moment right now.
that's good. That's as it should be. I think that when when a person is able to get through the point where they are no longer nervous to publish or finish or put out a thing because they think they'll take a wrong step, like when that thing happens, the rest can begin.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of what you teach and captivate, right? It's really like being able, I mean, everything is too, just like willingness to put yourself out there, the willingness to see through and believe in an idea and a thought, and then build that out and
Hmm.
actually just play with it. Playing with it,
Yeah.
being playful is a lot of the things that we have in common. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
something I
Exactly.
hope, whoever's listening is really taking into that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's,
I
I
love
think
that.
that's what
Um,
most people's favorite thing is if they come on, they have a problem. When I give them homework on the call, usually that's their favorite thing because a lot of times I don't really know what to do now.
yeah. Well, if we come to a full circle in this conversation, or we really,
Mhm.
just talk about it's in a way like the art of being you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
You could
So
say
it's
that.
just right, it's just who we are. But if we apply ourselves as sort of this practice of art, and we're, being that body of art for ourselves, then it's like continual, then it's like freeing, then it's
Yeah.
exploring and experimenting, and it's not really that heavy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You're exactly
Yeah,
right.
cool. um
It's powerful.
well, it's I love that. I'm gonna allow that to sink in a little bit and see where that goes. um
Cool, man.
But I think I'm gonna kind of wrap it up over here. I wanted
Okay.
to do a thing to wrap it up
Yeah.
in the end.
Okay.
I don't really have a fixed thing right now. One of the options that I gave the community was like, oh, I'll have like, whoever the guest to spin and then land on for the next guest. But then that will kind of eliminate a little bit of the surprise for the next guest. So I don't really want to do
Totally.
that. So I'm gonna kind of what came up in my head is, do you have a pen and paper with you?
I have a pen. I don't believe I have any paper. No, no paper, but I have my hands. I can just write on my hand.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll do that together. I have this like random
Okay.
shape. So
All right.
in
Are we
like
playing
whatever.
tic-tac-toe?
No, we're not, but we're gonna maybe that's a good idea too. But for now, I just want you to kind of doodle something, one line without picking up your pen tip, and see
Oh,
what you come
okay.
up with. Yeah.
Oh,
So, like 10 seconds or something.
okay. I like that. Hmm. All right. Well, I kind of cheated, but I think it looks cool.
Show me.
All right. That's what I did. I did a little doodle. I stopped after this first one just to
Show
look at
me.
it,
Oh,
and I decided to do
yeah.
one more. There's two loops there.
Yeah. Two loops. What do you think? What do you
Yeah.
see when you see the loop? What do you see?
It's interesting. Well, the with the two of them together it looks kind of like the G in my signature. Um, and then the first one, there was something. Oh, it kind of looks like Charlie Brown's single hair on his head.
Yeah. Oh, I totally see that.
That one.
Yeah. Can you spin it around your hand
Like that?
around? Can you,
Like
nope,
that?
more.
Or like that?
Yeah, yeah, there you go. So
Like that?
that to me, it looks like a pair of sunglasses, or like,
That's pretty
yeah,
cute.
and
Yeah,
like
with the like flexible
yeah,
backs on
yeah,
there where you can
yeah,
like,
yeah, like the
yeah,
old
I know what you're talking about.
school one that's like, yeah, really
Yeah.
thin. I really see
Oh,
that.
good eyes on
I
that one.
love
Yeah, I
that.
think these are glasses that someone sat on.
Yeah.
I That's funny.
Well, that's good.
I,
Yay.
I only get like a pair. I never get nice sunglasses. I don't know what defines nice sunglasses, but I never get expensive ones because I always go through like one of them a year. I break it or I lose it or something happens. I'm
One a
convinced.
year, that's actually pretty good.
Oh, is it? What's the average? What are you at? Like one a month?
Yeah. Don't ask
Oh, really?
me. I don't know. I don't know. No, I'm not gonna answer that.
Well, so now I've got this pair for the next 24 hours or whatever until it falls off.
There you go. I got this guy with my
Oh
notes,
wow.
and I just
Geez,
saw
you're
you
super
as this.
cheating.
Wait, let's see.
Wow, I didn't
Wow,
know it was like
no,
a
that's
full.
one line.
That's amazing. Yeah, I guess that counts. For some reason I was
Just
thinking
it's just
like,
one line.
wow, okay. Next time I'll give myself more creative freedom to go nuts with it.
So
I guess I had
so
a limit on that line.
yeah, you put a limit to the line, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. Which is interesting
Yeah.
too
See, this,
because I used to always live the other way, but it was because of the limits that I became more creative.
yeah. So, I mean, just to end the call over here, but it's just, this is why I love doodling. Because when you think of doodling, everybody has some sort of idea of what it is. But when they actually practice doodling, it's like, oh, it always surprises them one way or the
Hmm.
other, whether they'll go somewhere else or, well, in this particular case, you just did a very simple line, no right or wrong, but it's just another way of looking at yourself and how you are, in this case, limiting yourself,
Yeah, that's
right?
exactly right.
Which
What a
is
great
wild,
concept for the little test.
right? But very cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to kind of like
Of
chat
course,
with
Susan.
me. This is so,
Yeah.
so fun. I am so
Yeah.
excited for everyone to listen to this. And, we'll keep this going, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm stoked to see what you do with the rest of it. Your community is becoming really golden, man. I love it.
I'm really injecting a lot of that energy. It's really meant to be a space where you really could come in and be who you are, but you're going to come in a place where, in some cases in our lives, in our real lives, we don't have that kind of support. So I'm really hoping a community that can really be that for you.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know how to grow that yet, but I will keep going.
You're on the cusp. You're about to land on it. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, love. I'll talk to you soon.
You're so welcome, Suze. All right, have fun. Later, man.
Bye. See you later.